Hello, this video we're looking at the third DLC's difficulty spike in Lufenia difficulty without extra mode. So video 2 of 5, and without extra mode, the game does expect you to really push your stats and chase that power fantasy, and really be comfortable with your build and playstyle a lot more. So we'll just kind of talk about where some of that stats, well, just looking at your stats real quick, we'll say you might focus on your primary attack stat. So a sage or some type of caster might be focusing on intellect, where maybe say like a red job, like a breaker for instance, might be looking at strength, or a duelist or an assassin might be looking at agility. So things like that. Um, and just full disclosure, my stats right now are not sufficient for uh, are not sufficient for Lufenia difficulty. So where to get those stats? Are job levels. The game will expect you to be about job level 200 at this point. So Chaos had 3 job unlocks to get you to 99. Bahamut had 3 job unlocks to get you to 150. And then now, as of January 27, the exchange shop had some extra unlocks in order to get you to job level 200 even before you set foot in the Gilgamesh Rift or the Gilgamesh difficulty. So the balance right now is around job level 200. Bonus if you have found the chests in Gilgamesh difficulty to get to 250. Uh, and anything above 250 is not needed in order to clear the story of Lufenia difficulty without the trials on. Uh, and so with those job levels come the job trees master points that would let you invest more points into your primary attack stat. So category 1 before your category 2, 3, and 4, generally speaking. Some other areas in order to get power are going to be from your gear effects. So I might be looking for, let's say I have this great sword, and I might look and filter through my gear, and I'm looking for strength. Um, Maybe that's like 2 or higher, or 3 or higher, or whatever it might be. And I see, okay, I have about 4 choices to improve my strength off that piece of gear with the fuse system, and so I might go and choose my effects, and then I select strength, and I could now have a Roman numeral 4 or Ultima strength 4 to get on there and push that strength up to, like, I don't know, 13 times 1.5. I don't remember what that is. 19. Get 19 strength out of that. And so I just kind of imagine doing that across all of your gear, uh, and then also fusing your accessory, whatever that might be. Let's say I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to look for strength on my accessories too. And I see, like, oh, unfortunately, I don't think there's a way to upgrade your accessory effect at this time, but or maybe never. Um, but I could get an extra 13 strength or so or whatnot out of my accessory given time. So that gets into the question of, like, oh, gear drops. How do I even get the gear? And so we'll talk about that in a bit. Um, but then we also have, well, speaking of gear, we also have relics. Some of these relics that drop at the shop or at the Dragon Exchange, we'll say they're pretty decent starter relics. As well as some of them might even just be for Gilgamesh difficulty. Uh, they're a lot. But those stats at the bottom, I'm sorry, where it says summons blessing, Ifrit, 228%. That 228% is the amount of stats that this piece of gear is receiving from Ifrit, or rather affects those stats. So Ifrit, being a red summon, uh, tends to bring out more strength, and it has some stamina too. So it might pair well with a job that, like Berserker, that's using strength and stamina, or even to some extent Breaker, because Breaker is going to be using strength. Um, where, oops, uh, where say Sylph is a green blessing and tends to focus on that agility side, but also has a component for spirit. So it might be pretty useful on ninja if you're trying to break something with agility uh, and like critical hits, and maybe land a status ailment with one of the elemental ninjutsu. Um, and so you have the different little the blessings that come up over time. Remove, for instance, might be great for casters with bringing out that job's intellect, and then secondary, the job's spirit, where Odin is like this. Odin really tries to bring out the strength of a job. So if you put Odin on like a sage, you might only get like one strength out of that, even for 100% Odin. And Ramu, uh, if I were to put Ramu on a breaker, I might at 100% Ramu or even 150% Ramu, I might only get like one intellect out of that because the breaker just doesn't have a lot of intellect to begin with. Um, so relics, getting relics on all of your slots would be ideal, but certainly not required. But if you ever co-op with folks and or you come across like some screenshots that like how are these people getting 400 stats or 400 plus or 1,000 plus stats, it's because the relics are playing a role in that now, um, as well as your we'll call it a late Lufenia difficulty unlock that will play a role in the stats as well. Um, and then we have your actual affinities, which will be the last part. So your affinities, uh, giving you some stats along the way, as well as just effects that at this point we'd want to um, try to synergize the affinities with the playstyle that we're going for. So let's take Thief for instance. If I know I'm almost never using an instant ability or barely using it, I'm not going to go out of my way to try to get Thief 120% onto my gear. And the only reason why it's here at this point is because I'm just going to be demonstrating a point in the next few videos about just looting a little bit. Um, so, like, if I'm a berserker and I don't have any magic damage coming in, or I'm not dealing any magic damage, I'm probably not going to be grabbing Black Mage Affinity to be boosting my magic break damage and things that generally are around intellect. And similarly with, yeah, so we'll say trying to find the affinities that really push your playstyle further. Just either whether you flip through the tree and just kind of like maybe jot down like which ones you're going to take advantage of, as well as the Google sheet that will be in the description of this video. In the job affinity section of that sheet, I'm still updating it, so work in progress. But if you kind of look through those and see, okay, what can I get? What takes precedence? And then just kind of know that you can generally get, keeping an eye out on your gear to see what you can get, but like trying to figure out what makes sense for your build and your play style. So this is not a build video, just kind of looking at some of those building blocks. But yes, so yep, just to recap, job level 200, getting relics, smithing over, and I'm sorry, fusing over those item effects, and also fusing affinities that you can really take advantage of. Um, and prioritizing your category 1 stats over most other things. Um, which gets us to a question of, so the remaining videos are going to be covering how we can get get some gear like the relics, get some smithing effects, as well as the job crests that we might need in order to fuse things around. So yeah, we'll see you in the next video.